Now, what I want to talk about tonight is being a composer in a moving world. The moving world means that probably the word composer is getting to have other and new and different meanings. So, question mark. A person who writes music especially is a professional occupation. Professional means that you may make a living out of it, that you may earn money. We'll get to that. Now, the reality is that composers make their life out of what they know about music more than about making music itself. And so, composition becomes a kind of virtual action. You are a potential composer, if ever you get some time to do it. I was very shocked some years ago when somebody told me, oh yes, but Daniel, you are an amateur composer. So I reacted very negatively. But the person was quite right. I mean, I don't make my living out of it. I can't. So I have to do something else. So I compose when I have spare time or during my holidays, which may create some conflicts with your families. Now let's analyze what is a composer. What kind of composer can you be? So here you have to support a quite queer word, which is establishment composer. I call establishment composer because I don't have a better word, because I won't call a classic composer or serious composer. I hate those words. I put that more in the composer's mind than in the music he does. Establishment is what we received from the past, what the tradition brought to us. Composer is somebody that decides to organize sounds and present them, or present the result, under certain circumstances to an audience, with the intermediation of instruments or not. And to be known as a composer and to advance in life as a composer. So this is, at least on all my young years when I was studying, my objective was that. There was Bach, Beethoven, Bartók, and maybe someday Peruggi. Just the same line. Not the same quality, but the same line. Who left? Of course, you can be a composer of popular music. Put anything you want under popular. What I try to stress is that the way you relate to the person that receives your music is different. It's a communication issue. You can be a completely unknown composer. And if I stress this, it's because there are many of them around. People that compose for themselves, who never show the music they do. They keep it hidden. They may not be active, they may not work out of music. The most famous example is Charles Ives, of course. But even if it doesn't get to that level, many people have the compositions at home, play them to their family, and it stops there. It's a relation between a creative instinct and making it a reality. That's making music. Being a composer is assuming the fact that you will exchange your result with somebody else. And in this case, if you're an establishment composer, you will go to a concert and people will be sitting there and I'll be doing something here and you will like or not my music. The recent tendency are the networks, underground music. Underground music is a kind of not visible network. It's the idea that people use the musical creation as a communication action and exchange information that contribute to the creation of the music. I separate both sides, and a more private or not social side, or not public side, more than social, and then a more public, where exchange is one of the strong issues. Maybe some other time I'll talk about the rest, but I will concentrate on the establishment composer. So, ways of living for a composer. What a composer may do with all the knowledge he has inside. So he may be lucky to get commissions. I come back to this subject, so I won't develop it. It's practically the main and almost only source of income for composers. Then we composers specialize in then there's a second related to commissions, which are radio and TV rights. In some countries it works, in other countries it doesn't exist. Or you may know that your work was performed several times in a concert hall with people paying, and you never get nothing. I don't want to talk about this country, but it's not the only one. Spain is exactly the same. Then composers have turned their life towards research. Now I here present research in the university context, a very large domain, and there's a very strong research trend here, which is musicology, of course, which is the study of music, and working around musical issues, which may be also technical, not only musicological. Then there's cinema. Sorry, I have to play, I do it. There's lots of money there. But the doors are very few and very difficult to open. In France, a minute of your music on a public radio is 30 euros you get. A minute on television is about 300 euros a minute. So you have 1 hour that goes on television, you have a nice month. I don't know anybody who has had more than 5 minutes of contemporary music on television. That's another story. But cinema, if you hit the jackpot, you may get millions. But generally, people who want music for their films are not exactly looking for the music we do. And if we really tend to succeed in this domain, well, we rather change the music we were doing, if you see what I mean. But well, there are some exceptions, mainly accidents, and it is a possibility you can aim working for the cinema, and there have been very good collaborations between composers which have continued making the music as they feel it with filmmakers which didn't make higher ranked films in terms of money, but have made magnificent films. Then you can be an expert in sound or whatever. This is a thing composers tend to do every now and then. Be a Tonmeister. That's I would say it's a kind of a activity from the past, but it's the idea of having somebody who can listen technically and musically to a sound information. Then you have teaching. I should put some headlights on this. University, schools, privately. In this country, most of the teaching used to be done privately. I never went to a conservatory in Argentina, or just for a couple of years to get some equivalence of what I knew already. I studied for 8 or 9 years with different teachers, which I went once a week to their house. Some offered coffee, others didn't. And I paid every lesson I went. And they were the most extravagant calculations of how much should one lesson cost, how many bus tickets was the equivalent, because here prices tend to go up very, very quickly, or used to tend to go up very quickly. There are institutions, perfect example. He's a composer, at least he claims he's one, and he works in an institution and spends most of his time in this. Radio producer, many composers have got into this domain. It kind of brings together creativity and income. And then there may... What happened? Oh, yes, the other side. Then there may be others. I cannot define them. But, well, there are many composers that stop composing, that start doing something else, that change completely and keep in some kind of hidden activity with composition. Now, if you only want to live only of music, you're one of the tough ones. You don't want to spend your precious time and your creative capacities teaching or making radio programs or making film music. Then let's see, what can you get? Commissions. This is highly European oriented, but you have institutions that make commissions. You have the country may have some national instance that gives commissions, and you may have some kind of international sources. They exist. A good commission, not me, used to be paid around 12,000 euros in France. Used to be, because the crisis comes everywhere. So now they tend to shrink. Now, how many commissions can you expect to get per year? One, if you're lucky. That's more or less the average. Let's suppose you're a composer on the top of the notoriety. Everybody knows you, so you may get 2, 3. In any case, technically, you cannot compose more than 3, 4 works per year, unless you compose a work per day. But, I mean, it takes a certain amount of time, a technical time, a physical time, and of intellectual time to make a piece of work, a music, which will be sufficiently attractive for people to commission you back against something in the future. So, as we often say, if you can make the basic salary and a commission, I mean, basic salary in France is, I don't know how much it is, 1,500 euros. The minimum salary, the legal one, then there's the illegal one. That's a legal one. So if you can tend to earn 1,500 euros per month, you're one of the most lucky composers that are in France. Only about your music.